Well, first you take a shot at Piedmont. Your Honor, Judge Horner, Katie, apologies on behalf of the attorneys. Then I heard a little dissing going on against San Francisco and the police department there. How many former San Francisco police officers do we have in the room? Let me see, loud and proud, loud and proud. There they are. There they are. There they are. And I'm here on my own behalf, of course. I believe with the retirement of Eileen McAnder a few months ago, I'm the longest tenured deputy DA in the office, which is kind of frightening to think about. I made sure I was wearing the name tag for a lot of the retirees so that they'd recognize me without hair. So this is me. I took off the name tag. I figured, okay, the cat's out of the bag. I lost my hair in my 30s. Okay. But I'm here. I was listening to the bagpipes coming in, and I could only think how my late father Jack would have reacted to the bagpipes, because he was just into the bagpipes. I remember one summer we were up in Sonoma. It was in this, and there was a huge gathering of Irish folks singing songs, and the bagpipes were playing. And here's Jack, the son of an Irish Catholic police officer from San Francisco, daily mass growing up, and I started looking, and it's like, I don't think this would be a friendly crowd to the Irish Catholics, as I'm seeing the red hand of Ulster flags flying and realizing that this is Orange Day, it's July 12th. And so I told my dad, hey Dad, I don't think this is the gathering that you should be at. And I said, this is the Irish Protestants, the Battle of the Orange and the Green and all that. And so, oh, but I love bagpipes, So he stayed, he kept the low profile in the back. So I love the whole history of the office. I have to confess that I was boning up on the book by J. Frank Coakley a little bit, just getting some of the dates right. And I thought, hey, why not have an opportunity to give a shout out to 25th Governor of California, Friend Richardson. And what is he known for? Well, he's known for nominating Ezra Dakota to the California Railroad Commission, which opened up the position of district attorney in 1925 and allowed the Board of Supervisors to appoint Earl Warren as district attorney. And here we are in 2025, and the Board of Supervisors appointed Ursula Jones Dixon, and I figure that's a pretty good 100 years. Pretty good 100 years. And my late father Jack was also a Board of Supervisor appointment. For those of you that know your district attorney history, Lowell Jensen, who I believe is going to be honored this coming week at the Inns of Court. He's going to be speaking, so he's still doing well. We see John Brohart over there, who clerked for the great D. Lowell Jensen. But D. Lowell Jensen was the district attorney who succeeded J. Frank Coakley. He was the DA from 1969 to 1981 when Ronald Reagan won the White House. He wanted some of that Alameda County talent back in Washington, and so he had Lowell go back to run the criminal division of the Department of Justice under William French Smith. My dad Jack was the chief assistant for Lowell and went through a board appointment process. And he got the three. You have to count the three, right, Ursula? You have to count the three. And so my dad was able to count the three. And there was one abstention. He was the supervisor from Alameda. I think his name was Fred Cooper. Until the day my beloved mother died, she referred to him as Chicken Cooper because he wouldn't vote. And then the one nay vote, who voted for the other candidate, Billy Hunter, was John George. And my mother also pointed out when they named the psychiatric pavilion after John George that, well, that explains it. That explains he didn't vote for your dad. But my dad's first day in the district attorney's office was December 10th, 1960. It was the day after my older brother, Matt, was born. He was interviewed by J. Frank Coakley himself, and he got the interview because of his own dad, Captain Jack Meehan, with the San Francisco Police Department, knew J. Frank Coakley through various, probably Irish Catholic organizations and such. So Coakley and Captain Jack Meehan were good friends, and my dad told me years later that when he went into the interview with J. Frank Coakley, Coakley just said, "So, do you always rely on your dad to get you jobs?" And I kind of chuckled about it because fast forward the tape from 1960 to 1985, when I was in the summer law clerk program under Carol Corrigan, Associate Justice, as we know, of the California Supreme Court. I didn't do the on-campus interviews for obvious reasons, but I came for the callback, and I sat in an office on the 9th floor with Carol Corrigan, and she said, and Carol, I think everyone here knows Carol, says, "Well, this is a big joke. What are we supposed to talk about?" And so we talked about the Giants for the next 20 minutes. And then the word got out that, hey, Meehan's kid's going through the summer law clerk program. And I got covered because that same summer, Kevin Dunleavy was going through the summer law clerk program. So everyone, as soon as they met Kevin Dunleavy, they said, well, obviously that's Jack Meehan's kid. Because of the obvious sort of resemblances and such. So my dad just had a great fondness for the Alameda County Inspector's Division, and of course it was rooted in being raised as the son of a police officer, and just the respect that my dad had for law enforcement just as a child growing up, and wanted to gravitate toward prosecution work. And when it was time to start looking for a job, his dad said, "Well, you got the best district attorney's office in the state right across the Bay Bridge," because it was already known as the office of Earl Warren, already known as the office of Ralph Halleck. How did he pronounce his last name? Somebody? Hoyt? Ralph Hoyt. Thanks, Tom. I do, Tom. Would help me out on that one. Ralph Hoyt, and then J. Frank Coakley, known as affectionately as the Chief. And so as a small child growing up, first in Westlake and Daly City, I always heard about the Chief this, the Chief that, the Chief to this. And so I think I was probably about 7 or 8 years old, and for some reason on a Saturday I had to go over to Oakland, the Oakland courthouse with my dad, and my reward was lunch at Casper's, when they used to have the Casper's across from the courthouse. We'd like to see those days come back. And so I'm on the 9th floor, and there's District Attorney Emeritus on the door there. And I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and my dad, "Oh, that's the Chief's office." And so, "Oh, that's a Chief's office." And the door opens, and here walks out J. Frank Coakley. And I was so disappointed because as a 7, 8-year-old, when I heard the Chief, I'm going to meet the Chief. I assumed it was like, where's the headdress, where's the feathers? It was not what I was expecting, slightly disappointed. So that was my first experience as a kid with the Alameda County DA's office. And then my second experience happened, and Tom, I don't know if you would have been in the office yet, maybe you were, but apparently there was an incident which occurred in the city of Alameda when the USS Enterprise came into Hunters Point to get some work done, and they had the XO and some other command staff flew in by helicopter ahead of the USS Enterprise into Alameda NAS, and apparently things went a little off script that night. I don't know how else to put it, but apparently there was some incident involving some of the command staff of the Enterprise and the Alameda Police. But at the time, yes, and he's still practicing law, Jack Noonan, I understand, was running the Alameda branch, or had some involvement there. And Jack had been good friends with my dad and Buzz DeVega. And all I know is sometime later, Jack Noonan, Jack Meehan, Buzz DeVega, and Jim Matt Meehan, Jay Noonan, and John DeVega, we all got a VIP tour of the USS Enterprise as little kids. It's like, wow, this is neat. And we even had lunch on the nuclear submarine that was accompanying it. So it was like, this DA's office thing, that's pretty good. I didn't actually know until many years later that this had some involvement with something that happened with the command staff. And then one of my last childhood memories was the 1972 World Series, A's Reds, and suddenly we got tickets to the World Series, and I'm told that's because I believe it was a joint operation between OPD and our Inspectors Division. God bless you guys. Broke up a scalping ring and ended up taking custody of all these tickets. What to do with all these tickets? What to do with all these tickets? So that was another happy ending story. as I got into my teens, and I don't, is Harold Bosco here tonight? I didn't see him, but it was always the summer DA picnic out at the fairgrounds, and they'd have a golf tournament in the morning. They had like a huge barbecue out at the fairgrounds. Then they would have softball games, and by then I think I was in high school, and I know I was on my high school team, and they had the softball game going on, and these DAs and inspectors, they were playing for keeps. And I'll never forget the late, great Bill Kleeman was a base runner. Carol Corrigan, the same Carol Corrigan, was playing second base. Ball gets hit. Barrel roll by Kleeman, taking out Carol Corrigan at second base. She held onto the ball. He was out. End of story. So at that point, it's like, this is a serious office. These guys know what they're doing. And I first started appreciating my father in terms of what he did for the office, probably around the time of the Chowchilla kidnapping in 1976, when the Alameda County DA's Office, Inspector's Division, and the Sheriff's Department took the lead because with the 26 school children and their driver were found by, I think it was Lieutenant Ed Volpe and Kathy Volpe when they were just, Inspector Kathy, when they were just driving rural Alameda County and happened upon the 26 kids and their bus driver, and all the news, and I remember my dad said, yeah, we're doing all the warrants on this, I didn't realize until Coakley's book that supposedly my father was nicknamed the Wizard of Warrants. I said, that sounds kind of corny, and I don't know if anyone ever actually called him that other than Jay Frank in his book. But from my understanding in the history of the office, in terms of first with Earl Warren, certainly, and going all the way up through Ursula, there's been a very keen focus on making sure that our deputy DAs, our inspectors are on top of the law. And so with the creation under Lowell Jensen of Point of View that my father was the author of, and I've even talked to some here, Jim Cooper I was talking to earlier, about how helpful it was to have that resource that would be distributed to all the DAs. I did get a kick out of a comment by Coakley talking about Earl Warren as Chief Justice in his book, where I don't always agree with the decisions of Earl Warren when he was Chief Justice, for example, the suppression of statements and things of that nature, but it's like, well, that's just kind of the way you have to play it these days. You can only use admissible evidence. There's something that reminds me of the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution, perhaps. So anyway, that was a funny one. But my father always just had a great respect and admiration for the men and women of the Inspector's Division, just because of his own background, being raised as the son of a police officer. My father, Jack, he knew he had arrived in his own mind when he got mentioned in Herb Cain. It's like, wow, I got in Herb Cain, but he was in Herb Cain because there was a misprint in the LA Daily Journal when they did a biography on Jack, referring to my dad as the son of an Irish Catholic priest. So that was something that I thought was awesome. So it's great to be here, to be able to represent Jack's memory. We would love to be here. And God bless everybody that's here. Thanks for having me.